So, something special, something cool, something amazing happened this week. I met comedian and all-around badass Whitney Cummings. Fun fact about me is I do this thing. I go sit in studio audiences. I have for a long time. Some call it a side hustle. I call it a privilege, baby. I've seen a lot of cool shit. I was studio audiencing this past week, and Whitney Cummings was guest hosting on this particular daytime talk show. I would have been attending this particular daytime talk show regardless if she was the guest host or not, so for me, this was just an added bonus. When I walked in the studio, my mood changed. I told myself I gotta meet her. I have to. How often do you have a chance to be this close to Whitney Cummings, bitch? Think. The security guard who checks your bag at the metal detector, he saw me struggling upon entrance. I have a lot of strengths. Removing my headphones and mask when I enter a room, which is always tangled, is not one of them. So the security guard, he helps me put on my audience member bracelet, to which I said, how nice that you do this for everybody. No, miss, I don't do this for everybody. Today is just your lucky day. Did I run with this comment? You bet your sweet ass I did. When we were in holding, they gave us these papers to fill out if we wanted to ask a sex or relationship question to Whitney. My only question would have been, how do you get a landing strip not to look like a porn stash? I'm not nailing it. But being a fan of hers, I know she's lasered, so this question would have been moot. Then I start writing an entertainment industry question. That question turned into a paragraph, that turned into a page. It was like that moment in Clueless when Cher realizes she's in love with Josh and she lists all the things she loves about him. I realized I'm actually a huge Whitney Cummings fan. I watched her sitcom in real time and then twice through at 2 other times in my life. I remember feeling like, oh my God, this is my life too. She's mirroring my story. We are the same. I've seen all her stand-up specials, I listen to her podcast religiously each week, and I implement the advice that she suggests. Whitney Cummings is more influential to me than I ever acknowledged. Then I hear, okay everyone, we need 1 volunteer to be in our game show segment. I will, I can do it. Okay, Rocky. Cover up, your zero chill is showing. This segment coordinator looked at me like I was the saddest human being she'd ever met. That's okay, guys. Don't get mad. She just didn't know I was Rocky Powell. She chooses me and 6 other people to go off into a separate area where she has to audition us on a brief hello and what we would say to Whitney, plus a little bit about who we are. I go, hi, Whitney. Bap, bap, bap. My name is Rocky. I'm from Queens. I'm so excited to meet you. It was obviously the most energetic, exciting intro out of everyone's. I promise you that. The bop, bap, bap, for those of you who don't know, is what Whitney says on her podcast, Good For You. Only the real ones know that. I was met with the same look from the segment coordinator that she gave me before. Like, where did this bitch come from? I don't get picked. Now, I'm in my feelings like a 2018 Drake album. I feel personally attacked. My ego is bruised. Then I remembered something Tiffany Haddish said on Conan O'Brien's podcast. Sometimes when you don't get something you want, it's because something so much better is meant for you. I had to keep replaying that in my head. I kept believing there was still a chance. It ain't over. It's because something better is coming. It's because something better is coming, Rocky. We get in the audience. The DJ is playing fire music. The warm-up comic is getting everybody hyped, and this lasts about 20 minutes. Right before Whitney's about to come out and start the show, the warm-up comic, he picks me for this last audience question. What's your name and where are you from? Okay, let's try this again. I'm Rocky. I'm from Queens. Bop, bop, bop. He goes, but what? No, bop, bop, bop. It's for Whitney. It's from her podcast. When Whitney came out to start the show, she said on live TV, who was that said bop, bop, bop? So I raised my hand gently and say it was me. She pointed at me and she looked at me. She really looked at me and she said thank you. When it came to the game show portion, it was pretty lame. One question, the chick who played it, she stayed in the audience. I was glad it wasn't me after all was said and done. And then when the show wrapped, Whitney looks over at me and she points and she says, you want a picture? What the fuck, bro? Yeah, of course I want a picture. She asked me to put my phone in selfie mode. I don't know what that means because I can't even think straight, but I had to compose myself. I told her my best elevator pitch for Wild Nights as coolly and calmly as I could. And then she took so many pictures with me. Guys, she took so many pictures with me. She didn't have to do that. It was dope, and she's dope. Tiffany Haddish was right. Sometimes something way better is meant for you. So, don't lose hope.
Time for
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello! How you feeling from the residual Halloween lag? I hope it was all treats and no tricks, unless you like the tricks. I went as legendary rock star Janis Joplin, and despite losing my shades halfway through the night, everyone except one lady who called me a hippie knew I was Janis Joplin. So the vibe was right. Not as many people dressed up as I would have expected, however. What's going on, everybody? What's the stigma with being an adult who dresses up? We can and we should take Halloween back. Band together and say this is a universal holiday, and god damn it, I'm creative. To anyone who wishes they dressed up but didn't, Halloween will be back next year. Embrace your creativity. Don't shy away from Spirit Halloween and Party City. You too deserve fun. I have a question. Do you ever look out the window? I mean, really look out the window and see what's up out there. We spend so much time on our phones and computers, but sometimes I look out the window and it's more interesting than my phone. It's just all these lives living and existing. Don't you care about that? It's not all bad out there. Gird your loins, boys. I am on Tinder again. It's been a solid 3 years, and truthfully, it's because the app got weird. But now it doesn't feel weird, and at the risk of being burned by a human man again, dare I say the boys on there seem decent. I do still have the thought at night when I'm swiping through Tinder, which one of you fellas is gonna ruin my life? Then I remember, all of them. One thing I find odd about Tinder is that you can verify yourself by clicking on images of a banana. That is a real sentence. But not all the guys on there are verified. If it's so simple to verify yourself, why isn't everyone on there verified? Wouldn't you want people to know you aren't a catfish? Unless you are a catfish. I was catfished once. Bad. Because you don't get to be Rocky Powell without an epic catfish story. But that's a tale for another episode. Party God Squad, hang tight. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, does layman's terms mean lame man's terms? Number 2, economy. More like a con on me. Number 3, people who are old money, are they descendants of the Pilgrims? Number 4, why do people care if people like pineapple on pizza? I've never had it, but why do people care so much? I'm genuinely asking. Number 5, bro, how do planes fly? Seriously. My guest this week is the incredible, unstoppable, comedy-writing, bagel-selling Sam Jones. Sam's wild word was bathroom stall, so take your pee breaks now because you are not going to want to miss this doozy of a tale. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Wild Nights with Rocky, on Twitter at Wild Nights Pod. If you want to check out some extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube, where you'll also get to see all of their beautiful faces. Please feel free to write a review on Apple Podcasts, and thank you to all the tried and true members of the Party God Squad who have done so already. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Sam Jones. Sam Jones, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I brought my special hat so that I could tell my story.
Oh my goodness. For anyone who is listening, Sam has put on kind of it's a feathered hat in the front. It almost looks flapper-esque. Is that a right term for that hat?
I think it was like a wedding. Somebody was performing at a wedding and I just saw it on the dance floor and just took it home because I wanted to remember this night.
There you go. Well, I'm glad you did because it looks really cool and you look cool in it. And something else that was cool and endearing about you when I approached you about doing the show. We don't know each other. We're going to get to know each other here, but when I approached you about doing the show, you had been really vulnerable with me and really honest right off the bat and said that you had been meditating on your porch and that recently earlier in the year you had lost a friend named Ricky Powell who was which is obviously very similar to my name, Rocky Powell, and that you had just been meditating kind of thinking about him, and it was strange that I had sent the email and then you agreed to do the show, and I immediately said this woman is my people, like someone to open up that honest and candidly. So I appreciated you being vulnerable and sharing that thing. And I'm really, really sorry that you lost your friend, but I'm happy that I could have made you think of him in a positive way or like a sign, even.
I feel like that. I feel like it was definitely in that moment. I just started thinking about him. It's been some months. It was a shock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got the email and I looked at I literally just stared at it and then looked back up and then stared at it again and then opened the email. It didn't matter what you even said.
Yeah.
I had to tell you
Mm-hmm.
that in that moment I didn't know what else to do. But of course I was going to do the show.
Right.
And thank you so much for reaching out. And yes, I lost a lot of people over the pandemic, nothing from COVID. Like
Right.
nobody died of COVID, but I lost 11 people in my
My
life. And it was
God,
really
11
crazy.
people?
11 people over the course of December 2020 to now.
Oh my God,
Hmm.
that is heavy stuff. That is not
It's heavy
easy.
stuff. But what it has showed me, honestly, Rocky, is that life is we have to make friends with death because we can't escape it. So how
Right.
do we make friends with death? We live. We take the
Yeah.
chances. We switch the negative thoughts in our head. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I'm not good enough. And we switch a different mantra,
Yeah.
and we envision other things because life is so fucking short.
Yeah.
And
Oh my.
so this is all we have is right now. And so that's how I'm using it to spin it in a little bit more of a positive light.
Oh my God, I love you. You are giving me chills. You're taking me to church. Yeah, that I really do try to live my life like that. I try to be kind to people when I can. I try to party as much as I can. I try to do no harm and just fucking rage. And I love that you said that, and I hope people listening who maybe are not following their most creative path when they know they can, because we know so much art comes from creativity and so much good comes from creativity. Sam Jones just took you to church, motherfuckers. So take that advice because I sure will. And you know what, Sam, I told you before, like I usually do a little cheesy, a little fun segue, but I just want to get into your bathroom stall story, and I'm blanking on how to segue into this gracefully. Much like I've not segued into many a bathroom stall drunk gracefully. So Sam's wild word was bathroom stall. Sam, give it to us. Give us your wild night story, bathroom stall.
Sure, I definitely will. So I am in a very long-term relationship. It's going on 10 years,
Uh-huh.
with a man who grew up in Montreal. And about 4 years ago, his best friend, who I'm not crazy about, or his childhood best friend,
Uh-huh.
was getting married to a woman that he met in Costa Rica. After a week, she was the cleaning person who was cleaning the place that he was staying, and so
Gotcha.
they fell in love. And Stuart asked her to marry him, and come back to Montreal. So we got invited to the wedding. And to be honest, I didn't want to go. I was living in New York City at the time, and I had to get on a Greyhound.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I despise more than this guy whose wedding it was taking a Greyhound for
Right.
3.5 hours.
Oh yeah.
But I did it. I did it. My boyfriend is amazing, and my life partner, whatever we call it. And I
Right.
wanted to show him that I was going to be a champion. So I
Yeah.
complained for 3.5 hours on the bus,
Yeah.
and until the edible kicked in, and then I was fine. And then
Yes.
we got back. We had very little time to get ready for the wedding. And my guy wasn't going to be in the wedding party, but we were just guests, but it was really quick. I had to get my hair, do my hair, get
Yeah.
dressed. put my perfume on, I beat my face, I go to the wedding, like kind of like, oh God, I don't really want to be here, but I didn't want to like radiate negativity and just like be a drip. So I was like, fuck it, another edible.
Okay.
And
How
now
many
I'm
milligrams are we talking? Do you
we're talking
remember?
20 each.
Okay.
Which is for me, the tops I've had have been 50, but like I'm not out. I'm not
Gotcha.
social. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like my couch.
Right.
So we go to the wedding, and the table that we're sitting at, there's a stunning woman, like absolutely breathtaking, thick, big, beautiful breasts, curly black hair. Her name was Karina. She had an accent, a Middle Eastern accent.
Mm-hmm.
Her fiance was stunning, gorgeous Greek guy with a Greek accent. His name was Stavros.
Ooh.
And I know, and my guy and I sitting at this table with another couple, two men who were a couple who were like amazing. That they had a French accent. I guess they were from Montreal.
Gotcha.
So we're all sitting at the table, and we're jiving, and her and I are just like jiving, like everything's going great. And I feel something under the table, and I'm like, what is going on? So I move my leg, and I'm thinking someone's by accident like rubbing their leg on me, thinking it's somebody else.
Right.
So I move my leg, and then it happens again. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird, because the only person whose leg would reach me would be Karina's.
Yeah.
So I like move my leg again, and then, but like we're still driving, and I feel like she's flirting with me. Like the guys are talking, and I'm like, oh, she's flirting. I'm like, what am I? I'm on edibles. Like this isn't real. It's not happening.
But you
And
knew,
then
like you could feel it a little. Like you have human and women's intuition, you know.
totally. And the thing was that she was so hot, but I'm like, I had never really been with a woman. Yeah,
Right.
I made out with a girl, like my friends growing up, to like get attention from dudes. I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I'd never really been with a woman before. I think I've kissed girls, my friends growing up, to get attention from dudes in clubs like Limelight and Palladium in the 90s. But had never been with a woman. And we're sitting at the table, and we're talking, and she's laughing, and she's biting her lower lip. And I'm like, I'm catching vibes. Like, what is going on? And so we're hanging out, and I tell her that I'm on an edible, and she whispers to me, oh, I really want to try an edible.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, have you ever done it before? She's like, no, I don't do drugs. I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to be the one to give it to you. So she's like, no, give it to me, give me half. So I'm like, okay, she's a grown ass woman. This wasn't a young girl. She was like 33, 34 years old. So I give her half of it, and like we're drinking, hanging out. Her dude seemed like very proper. Like he just seemed like he would not be cool with her taking an edible, whatever. So I was kind of like, oh shit, I don't want to be this person.
Yeah.
And so I get on the dance floor, I start dancing, and like old school hip hop's coming on. I'm like dropping the beat. I'm like getting down. I'm high. I'm feeling good, because now I had 2 edibles. So 2020. And then I just had half of the edibles she took.
So you're up to 50.
Now yes. So now I'm like very loose.
Yeah.
I'm on the dance floor. I'm just like letting go. Everything's great. And I look over to the table. Karina's alone. And Stavros is talking to the table, that he's like standing up and talking to the next table. But she's kind of like sitting, watching the dance floor and sitting alone. And I'm like, oh, fuck, she took an edible. She's alone. This is her first time. I don't want to like leave this woman alone. Let me just like, even though my song was on, I did not want to leave the dance floor.
What's your song?
I go back over. It was hey little mama, let me whisper in your ear. You know that song?
Tell you something you might like to hear. I got a sexy ass body. That's a great.
My dick.
Oh yeah.
You see my dick. So as Wait Till You See My Dick is playing on the chorus hook, I'm walking over to the table, and she's like so happy to see me, and she like is saying something, the music's pumping, and she like points to her lips. And like, and I'm like, oh, I don't smoke. Like, I thought she wanted to smoke a cigarette. I was like, oh, I don't smoke. And she was like, come with me to the bathroom. And because I was like, come dance with me. She's like, come with me to the bathroom first. So I was like, okay, I probably have mascara on my eyes. Let me take my clutch off the table, and we both walk to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Open the door of the bathroom. No one's in there. It's like kind of fancy-ish. There's mints, there's hairspray. There's like, it's a wedding venue.
Yeah.
And nobody's in there. There's like 4 stalls. So I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm cleaning my mascara off, and I see her like walking behind me, and she pushes me up against the wall, like the sink and the mirror. Like, so I'm like in a very awkward position and just starts making out with me. And I'm going along with it. I'm like, okay, but we are at my boyfriend's friend's wedding who he grew up with. And like, the parents are there and like, you know, it's like it's a wedding and everyone knows his parents because they grew up in Montreal.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in my head as this whole thing is going down, like, how the fuck is this happening? Is this really happening? And what if someone walks in? So I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do. I let go. I'm just going with it. And in through the door walks the groom's mother and a little child that was dressed in like, looked like a communion dress. So I think that it was probably the flower girl, but I wasn't paying attention. And she was like, what the hell are you doing? This is with French accents. What the hell are you doing? This is a wedding. This is there's kids here. This is terrible. And she was like, get out. And we didn't get out. We instead went into a bathroom stall and proceeded to get fucking crazy.
Gotcha.
She opened up so the lady leaves. I don't know what happens, but we're in this whole craziness.
Yeah.
And she opens up. I didn't tell you, I was wearing a like vintage jumpsuit that had 3 like buttons that were spaced. They look like these disco ball almost. It was a cool outfit. I'm making it sound bad. She rips open my shirt, and I don't know if this is PG. I could no,
it's R.
Okay. She rips open my shirt, so my boobs are out, and she like on my boobs, like she's like sucking my titties. Yeah. All of a sudden, there's like a bang, 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 bang on the door of the bathroom stall where it's like, now I'm against the wall. I turn around. I'm like, what the fuck? Like at the woman's back, and I hear, Karina, what the fuck? Karina, open this door. She unlocks the stall, opens the door. Now I'm standing there. My tits are tit to tit. Like standing out there, I look like a deer with my headlights out. Like
double pair of headlights. Yeah.
Yes, my 2 pairs of headlights. I had no idea. I'm like, what? How? So I look at him. He looks at me. He goes, what the fuck is going on here? And I went, dude, my tits are out. I went, dude, I have no fucking idea what's going on here. Yeah. And he was like, Karina, get your shit and go. So he leaves and he goes, tells her to meet him outside. So he leaves and she starts to go at it again. I'm like, girl, no,
it's over.
Like, this is too much. No. So she leaves the bathroom. I'm like telling her to go to her dude, like, please go. I don't want to make a scene. This is Mike's thing. Now I'm getting nervous. I'm going fucking paranoid because I'm on the edible. And I'm like, what is happening?
What have I done? Yeah.
So she leaves. I wait 20 minutes. Because I'm like petrified. I don't know what's on the other side when I leave that bathroom. So I stayed in the stall thinking like, does Mike know? Is everybody going to be like shaming me like Game of Thrones? Shame. Like I didn't know. And I wait and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I like mustered up everything I had inside of me. And I just was like, I got this. Like, that's it. Worst case scenario, I'm going to take an Uber and I'll go back to the hotel and that'll be it. I come outside, the party's still going on, like nothing happened. Yeah. And I look over at the bar and Mike's there doing shots with his friends. My guy, Mike, is doing shots with the groom and whoever. And so I walk over and he's like, babe, where have you been? I was like, have you seen Karina and Stavros? And he's like, no. So I go, okay. And I'm hanging out the bar, drinking with them now, looking around, scoping the place out, being like, where the fuck? We didn't even have cake yet. Like they left, like where they didn't leave. And so I'm looking, I see nobody. We go back to the table. The DJ's like, everybody please take their seats. We go back to the table. They don't show up. So the 2 French dudes were like, they were like, I said, have you seen Karina and Stavros? And he was like, yeah, they left. She wasn't feeling very well. And he took her stuff and they went home.
Yeah, and I was like, titty milk.
It was so weird. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I think I'm out of the clear. Everything's like, I tell Mike what happened on the phone. Oh, well, like, actually not yet. The reason I told Mike was because the phone rang in the morning. His phone kept ringing and he was sleeping. And then my phone rang and I looked and it's his mother, Mike's mom. So I get on the phone. I'm like, hey, Gilly, what's up? And she was like, so? She's Israeli. You gonna tell me about your lesbian experience? And I was like, Gilly, I have no idea. She goes, what are you talking about? I live vicariously through you. And that was it. And then I told Mike what happened. He was like, why didn't you call me in there? She was
my
hot.
God.
Like,
Yeah.
And that's my wild story. That's what came to my mind. Like, that's pretty wild for me.
That is amazing. I'm like grinning from cheek to cheek because I know the feeling, or like the when you're somewhere and you're like, is this bitch flirting with me right now? And like, this is not what's supposed to be happening. I was in a situation a while back where I was at a dinner with a bunch of people I didn't know. I only knew a few people there. And a girl was drinking a margarita sitting next to her boyfriend, but she keeps like licking the side of the glass while she's talking to me. And I was like, not tonight, bitch. It ain't happening. Like, this is not going down. But I could tell by her eyes, I was like, oh man, they're trying to like wrap me in. And
Yep.
I wasn't down for it. But so I know that feeling. And so that's crazy that happened to you, and so fun. And it sounds like you were kind of into it.
Yes, I was absolutely into it. I wasn't into, like, I like the whole thing of it, the like that, like the scariness of it, the unknown of it, the like dirtiness of it, and also like the fact that we were in the back, like, but like, I can only explain it like, if you eat, like when pizza's in front of you, like, this is just a stupid analogy, but I say it like
I'm
this.
with
It's
you.
like, I have a gluten intolerance, like, but bad, almost celiac. Like, I get the same side effects from gluten. But when there's pizza in front of me, I could eat the whole fucking pizza. I love pizza. Like, I just love pizza. But so sometimes, like, that feeling of like, you eat it, like, fuck it, I'm in the moment, I'm doing it, YOLO. Right?
Yeah.
Eat it, and then when you go sick afterwards, you're like, why did I do that? It's like almost not even worth it. When Stavros was banging on the stall door and everything was shaking, I was like, oh no, bitch, I made a mistake. Like,
not worth
I
it.
didn't know if he could have killed me. Like, he was like pissed. And if I was him, I wouldn't even have been mad. I would have just been like, I would have tried to join.
A third. Yeah.
Exactly. Why were you so mad?
Some guys are not into that. They are not. A lot of guys are like, yeah, let's get a gal in here, and a lot of guys are very threatened by that. So that's everyone's journey, but I can imagine that the fear was probably really in you in that moment. Especially dealing with the added circumstances of the groom's mother walking in too, because people fabricate so much and love drama. So they probably, you don't know if this woman's going to go and blow it up and be like, oh my God, Sam was going down on this woman in the bathroom.
Totally.
Like, you know what I mean? People live for that stuff and have nothing going on. So, did you ever see that couple again at any other kind of friend event?
So it turns out that Stavros was the groom's boss.
Gotcha.
So it never got mentioned. I was searching for her on Instagram, on Facebook, on every but because it was like so weird, that was like a special moment for me, and then like I didn't see her ever. And then like it was just like nothing. So no, I never, I don't know what happened. I think there was like a little talk of what happened, but it wasn't like some big crazy thing. I feel like my guy has definitely jerked off to it. The thought of it, which is fine, because so have I, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, life's boring, you gotta kind of spice it up however you need to, you know what I mean?
Sometimes you just got to go with it, because we say, listen, I don't go on hot air balloons. I don't go on roller coaster rides. I don't do like the scary shit where, it's like the couple of like 1 in a million you could die. Like, I don't dive with sharks and do any of that like adrenaline rushing shit. This is the shit I'll take chances with, like the experience of the story for me. Like, as if I'm writing my own story. Why not? Like, it's presented to me. I'm not hurting anybody doing it. And it's an experience, something I've never tried before. And it's a great story,
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I was definitely had a good chunk of time in my life where I kept getting presented with these wild opportunities and like really fun situations that I was like, I am going with this. That has taken slowed down a bit because of COVID, obviously. Like you don't get all the goods thrown at you, but yeah, you have to. I mean, and I think that's what people don't understand sometimes. I'm not saying like go out here and like, break up relationships and shit. I'm just saying follow the fun of, whatever's going on. If you're having like if you're already on weed or even if you're not, like just go have fun cuz that all we have at the end of the day is our stories.
Our stories are the collection. That's what makes up our memories. Like that,
Yeah.
our life is made of the collections of the life experience and the stories that we have. And that's why I just feel like sometimes people say, like, my mom's afraid of everything. She doesn't
Mhm.
try anything new. She doesn't like, she had money and everything, and she's never traveled the world. She stayed
Right.
in Aruba, the Caribbean. She would do like her safe places. She grew up in Brooklyn, stayed in Brooklyn. She's still
Yeah.
in Brooklyn. You know, I want to see the world. I want to experience things. I want to have that, like, when I get to my, if I died tomorrow, I could actually say, and I don't want to die, but like I could actually be like, okay, I'm happy with all the choices that I've made in my life and all the experiences that I had. There's nothing that I fully regret except maybe one thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'm right there with you. I am right there. I feel that very deeply in my soul. I love that. I love that way to be. That was an incredible story. Incredibly wild. I'm so happy to that you came on here to share it. That was great. And I want to talk a little bit about you. One thing I saw, I don't know what interview it was, but I saw you say on an interview with someone or a conversation you were having with someone that I watched. You said and I think this is helpful information to give to the masses because when I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, Sam just dropped a little nugget of wisdom, and I'm going to take that." If you are trying to get over an ex, you masturbate to the thought of them fucking someone new. Is that was something you said, right?
or somebody else. It could be anybody.
Anybody,
That's
gotcha.
perfect. What you just said is absolutely correct. If you are trying to get over anybody, it doesn't matter how long you've been together, it does not matter. If you want to get over someone and it's sadistic and it is fucked up, and your viewers are going to be like, this bitch, is she crazy?
They know
But
what
I
they're
will
in
tell you
for.
this, it is absolutely 100% fail, fail guaranteed. It will not fail. It is fail proof.
Wow.
So I got broken up with in my 20s by somebody who I'm so thankful that got broken up with in my
Yeah.
20s. And I worked in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and I did insurance, and a lot of my clients were mobsters,
Uh-huh.
Italian mobsters. And I was very upset one day, and I went to go get a cappuccino, and I seen down this guy on the street. I saw him, and I usually like, hey Vinny, how you doing?
Yeah.
So I'm walking down the street, like, hey Vin, what's up? And I walked into the coffee shop, and when I came out, he was waiting for me. He said, "Que fi? What's the matter?" And I said, I said, this guy that I was seeing, Nikki, he broke up with me. And he goes, let me tell you something. You want to break up with somebody? They broke up with you, broke up with him. You want to get over somebody? I got a Sicilian secret that's going to change your fucking life, and it's guaranteed that it's going to work. And I said, well, what is it? Thinking it's like some witchy thing, like an
Yeah.
egg, voodoo, some fucking wooden spoon and a needle. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he goes, every night for the next 7 days, you need to rub one out, which is what he said, rub
Yeah.
one out to that dude fucking somebody else
Mm.
for 7 days. By the fourth day, you'll be completely over that person. But the extra 3 days is for your subconscious to vet it in so that they're literally out of your mind and your body. You won't have
Wow.
a bad thing to say about these people. Like, you're not like you hate them anymore. You're not digmatized by them. You're
Yeah.
not like beholden to them. A lot of women get dickmatized by somebody who throws it down and breaks their back. And I get it. Like, good
Yeah.
dick will imprison you, but
This
it
is
could also
true.
fuck with you. And even if you got broke, even if for a dude too, this works for men and for women. If you want to get over someone, you have to masturbate to them having sex with someone else to completion, meaning you to completion, for 7 days.
Wow. That is, I think that's solid advice. And if anybody does try it and wants to, write in the show about it, you know where to find me, because I would love to hear some positive results about people getting over their exes. Because it's hard out here in these streets. So,
and by the way, Rocky,
yeah,
they cannot write in after 2 days and be like, I'm really sorry, but like this is not working. No, bitch, it's 7 days. On the day you wake up on day number 8, after the 7 days, you're going to feel completely different. You'll feel different after day 4, but you'll feel completely different because you get the worst part out.
Yeah. That's wild. That is, and I knew that's why I wanted to bring it up, because I knew I wanted to hear the passion behind it. And you know what? Shout out to Sicilians everywhere. My best friend is Sicilian, and she's always dropping nuggets of wisdom. She's failed to tell me that one, but yeah, Sicilians, they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve. They're good to have around.
Absolutely.
Good to have
Absolutely.
around. And just to pivot a little bit away from sex, away from crazy bathroom stall nights, you own a bagel shop in the Catskills.
I'm part of a group of 7 friends.
7 friends.
I moved to the Catskills during the pandemic. I said, fuck New York, born, raised there. I was living between New York and LA. Was in New York with my dude. We were in a 700 square foot apartment paying close to $3,000 a month. And our friends bought a farm up in Saugerties years ago, and they ended up redoing it and moving in during the pandemic, like full time, got rid of their apartment. So we kept coming up here. And I was like, I can live here. And so a bunch of us would just come up on the weekends and like our pod, we wouldn't see anybody else during the week, and we would play Uno. And one night during the game of Uno that we were playing, I was like, I can move. The only thing is, like, they don't have like pizza and bagels. All the other food is good, but there's no like bagels up here.
Yeah.
And so my friends, some of them are real estate people, some of them are, I'm a comedy writer. I don't even know if you know, I'm a creative director at Viacom for Comedy Central.
I did know that.
These people are we have a salesman. I'm a comedy writer. One girl's in advertising also. They're just a bunch of us. Anyway, we decided to open up a restaurant, and it's a bagel store / grilled stuff, like what do we have, fried chicken sandwich and cheeseburgers and hamburgers and stuff, all the healthy shit, and so we opened up September 17th. We've been selling out of bagels almost every day. Like it's really great. We have an executive chef who is our partner, who's designing the menu, and we have kettle boiled fresh bagels every single day. It's really wonderful. And I'm doing all the branding and marketing, and it's exciting. It's called Goodies.
Goodies. And can people have bagels shipped to them?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
It's so busy that we don't even have time yet. We're planning on opening. We're only going to open. Listen, if you live in New York City, you don't, or Brooklyn, anywhere, Staten Island, you don't need, our bagels taste as good as the other bagels. But up here, there's no kettle boiled bagels. So it's a novelty here. That's why we're doing so well,
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. Kettle boiled bagels. People don't even know. If you've never had a kettle boiled bagel in New York, you don't even know. So that's amazing.
So good. It's major difference.
And these are all your friends, so you all just get to have a good time and have this amazing bagel shop. So that's congratulations to you on that. That's just adding to the multifaceted layers of Sam Jones.
Yeah, this was really exciting, and it was the first time I really invested in something other than myself, like my career or doing videos and putting money back into equipment and things like that. So but just to pivot back, circle time, because we have different views on things. We always end up working it out, but it's not always like fun. If you're opening up any type of food related thing or any business with friends, there's always, I just want to put this warning out there. There is always tension, and always like, this bitch isn't pulling his weight and this one isn't pulling, but in the end, we all love each other, and we are doing well, and we're serving the community, and it's great. It's really great. Well,
that's wonderful, Sam. I got to say, this has been just just an amazing conversation. You are such a cool person. I'm sure this was one wild night, but I'm sure you have plenty that you could share. And hopefully in the future we can talk about it over some edibles in person. That would be really fun. And will you just let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you online?
Sure, sure. I do a lot of stuff on Instagram. That's kind of just like my like mood board type of, like, you could see my work on there. It has my website and all the stuff, and it's The Real Sam Jones on Instagram, just spelled out The Real Sam Jones.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, Sam, this was an absolute pleasure. You are an absolute pleasure and a delight. And you brought a costume piece, which, that I don't think that's been done before in Wild Nights history. I haven't had anybody implement a costume piece, so this was great. Sam, thank you so much for doing Wild Nights. This was an absolute pleasure.
Of course, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. This was lovely.
Oh, you're the best, Sam. We will talk soon, all right?
Awesome.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.